So we're welcoming back our sellers from earlier that already shared a bit more about their business. Before we kick off and reintroduce the sellers, I want to just introduce myself. Again, I'm Alex Hyatt, I'm the head of trading for SMBs, and I'm super excited that we're going to run through some questions about overcoming customer issues. So, but it's not too serious, we're going to keep it light, we've all agreed before, we're going to talk, make it a bit light-hearted post-lunch and talk about what's impacting businesses at the moment. So, if you could all remind us of your businesses and who you are, that'd be great. And if we start with you, Hannah?
Yep, I'm Hannah. I run an online party games brand called Hannah's Games.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Daniel Haig, Commercial Director of eBay. eBay.
He's been promoted.
I think, not blowing anyone? Can I get a nod? Dan will be great for it.
Useful thinking.
Indeed. ClearCycle, they pay less. And we work with retailers to refurbish and sell their returns, specialising in furniture.
Thank you very much. Nikki?
I'm Nikki. We sell pre-owned luxury fashion.
Right, Yinka?
I'm Yinka, and I sell branded, vintage, and modern pre-owned clothing.
And Ross?
I'm Ross from McGill Motorsport. We do motorsport parts and equipment for drivers.
Brilliant. So, hopefully everyone remembers from earlier as well, but that was a great recap of what you're selling so people can kind of understand anything and tips they can take back to where they're working. So, if we can kick off with thinking about telling us of a separate person or team dealing with, like, how do you deal with your issues? Do you have a separate team? Do you have individuals? Do you have certain people that help you deal with customer issues? Hannah, we'll start with you.
So as I mentioned earlier, I have an outsourced team in the Philippines, and one of the things they deal with is customer service. I do change it around depending on, but the vast majority of it is dealt with by them.
So you're kind of outsourcing it to the Philippines?
But I have quite close control over it because it's part of brand identity and stuff, which I'm sure you'll come back to.
How did you go about finding that outsource facility?
I had just chatted with a guy over coffee about that. I don't know if he's here.
Really?
I use a website called onlinejobs.ph.
Okay.
And basically, the Filipinos are wonderful people. I've employed them for years, and so I've got quite high trust with them. That's how I
Great,
went about
thanks.
that.
Hopefully a useful tip for anyone else looking to outsource. And how about you, Dan, at ClearCycle?
We have a customer experience team of 3 now. We have other people in our organisation that are trained up for that for peak, because obviously as when we get busy, our volume increases. Try and put as much through the platform as possible. People do phone, but we try and push everything through the communication on there. That's how we do it.
Great. How much extra headcount do you add for the golden quarter then at peak?
So we have a team in Pakistan, and we have about 3 other colleagues that can handle those. We get a fair bit of interaction with the customers asking questions about items before they purchase. So we need to be on point with that, because otherwise you can miss the sale. So it's not just afterwards; it's before. It's the whole experience.
Yeah. So would you say that most of your kind of customer queries and traffic is coming pre-purchase versus post-purchase?
There's a variety. We get a reasonable amount of questions about the goods. You then get any issues, but we also, because all of our goods are 2-person home delivery, there's a lot of reassurance calls. I know you said you're coming, are you still coming?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that goes on as well, because people are taking the day off work, and it's a big ticket item. If you're spending £500 on a piece, you want to know.
You want to make sure it's turning up okay. Yeah, completely. And Nikki, how about you in luxury fashion?
Yeah, we have a customer care team of a couple of people. I mean, I have been known to quite it's something I like to do myself.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I'm always told by the team, please don't do it because we're really bad at it. But I still like to jump in. I'm not as professional as I should be, but I love it. I just remember when I was very small, and I just really loved talking to customers about the product, about their experience, about their post experience.
Are you using it almost as a place to get feedback then, if you're jumping in?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the business that we're in tends to be we have to talk to people a lot, because the things that we're selling are very expensive, and they're big purchases for customers. So, and it's a trust thing also. Obviously, we use the authenticity guarantee program a lot. People quite often want to talk to us about every single grade of colour as well. That's something. I mean, it can become very detailed. There's so many different shades of pink, and still people send something back saying it's not the shade you told me it was. It's not as described. So we get that a lot.
Interesting. That could be where maybe you and Ross, even though it's completely different industries, have similarities, because quite a few geeky people in both areas there across P&A and fashion. Yinka, we'll come back to you in a second, but just because I've mentioned Ross, from your perspective, how do your team operate with this?
Yeah, so we have 8 members of staff in the sales team, and all of them pitch in and deal with customer issues. We then take customer issues and try to look at how we can improve. So typically looking at our listings, see if there was something that wasn't quite right in the listing that we could improve next time. And if they're a bit of a bigger issue, then I would hear about it. And I like to then, know what the issues are, if it's product specific or whatever, and make improvements from there.
You've hit on an interesting point there about if you get feedback about the product, how you make changes in your listing. So we'll put a pin in that and come back to that in a minute, because I imagine there's probably a bit in that. And Yinka, how about you and your business?
So as I mentioned before, I'm a one-woman show, so I literally deal with all correspondences personally. Yeah.
How do you find that? Does it keep you busy? Does it keep you from other parts of your business?
It does definitely keep me busy, but because I spend most of my time doing my business, it's not the worst in the world, and I feel like I put a lot of detail in my listings as well. But you still get the odd customer that will ask you what the waist measurement is, even though it's in the description and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah. And what do you do? What do you do in those situations? Do you just kind of put it out for them, or do you refer them back to the listing?
Yeah. First of all, I look at my phone and I'm a bit like, oh God, like how are you actually asking me this? But then I'll write a whole polite message and be like, hey, thank you for your message and all that kind of stuff, and then be like, here is the measurement and stuff, even though it's actually in the description, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, the age-old thing of the customer is always right. It's sometimes good to remember, I suppose, but...
Not always.
Not always. We're in a safe space, can we say that?
Back in the COVID days, the phones were tripped over to come to me when there was no one in the office.
Yeah.
So I used to speak to customers quite a bit, and it was good because I could learn about who your customers were.
I agree with that.
I still, that insight was fantastic. But one of my favourites was someone who ordered, we had a duvet set, and someone ordered a duvet set, and they said it was too long on one side and too short on the other.
Oh, goodness gracious. Do they understand duvets?
It was quite a sort of sensitive thing, saying, have you tried turning it around? But
did you get like a phone call back the next day?
We solved it in the end.
Excellent. Dan and I actually worked together quite a lot during COVID. I'm surprised that story hasn't come out before.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And so kind of a question, I'll start with you, Dan, on this one, if that's okay. What's the most common customer issues you have in your business? I'm assuming the duvet one doesn't happen every week.
No, it doesn't. The most common issue, because we're selling graded product, when an item has a very, very small and slight imperfection, we reference a small slight imperfection rather than show a photo. So that we get a lot of reassurance calls asking about that, and then someone else's ever so slight imperfection could be someone else's more significant imperfection.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with things that are subjective, that can be a small challenge. And some of the product we're selling, it's natural wood finish. So even if it's in very, very good condition, a perfect condition, one piece of natural wood doesn't emulate another one. So that's probably the biggest challenge we have, accurately describing the item in the listing.
What do ClearCycle do as a kind of best practice to maybe mitigate some of those questions?
So we have a grading system, and we take photos of the product where we see it as relevant. And when in doubt, if you're not sure it's an A or a B, you go for a B. You come down a grade to try and exceed a customer's expectation. But when you've got something subjective, that's a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. Has anyone else kind of got anything to share from their kind of most common customer issue?
The most common ones for us are to do with deliveries and stuff like that, because whenever we get a customer service thing, I think, how could I put that information into the listing? How could I put that information into the photos? So, I'm not talking about kind of like 90s ranty, we don't take returns for this, we don't take returns for that. I'm talking like, oh, it wasn't clear, the dimensions weren't clear, so let's have an image that shows that, let's put that in. And I think the more you build the information in your listing, you can minimise the cost on customer service, and it is a cost, whether you outsource it or you do it yourself. That is a big cost to you, so if you can invest that time in listing, then you save.
Yeah.
But the more subjective, I mean, we sell Nectar mattresses, and so we get a portion back, and 50% are too firm, and 50% are too soft. And that Goldilocks bit in the middle is all right, but just, as soon as you've got something subjective, it's hard to get
you're
across.
always dealing with the general public.
Yeah.
They will, and it's all subjective at the end of the day. So then you've just got to understand that it's a very real problem for our customers, and we just talk to them and just say, hey, I didn't realise that the shoe was exactly, we want to say it's exactly as described in our language, but they perceive things differently.
Yeah.
And it's just It's just something you've got to talk to people. And sometimes it's resolved and sometimes it's not really. I mean, all we can do ultimately is give people a refund, but some people, they just want blood at the end of the day. They want you hung, drawn and quartered because you got it wrong. And you do kind of want to say sometimes, this is just a pair of shoes, guys. Like, let's get some perspective here.
Do you think that causes stress in your team at all when those?
Well, it used to. I guess we're used to it because, like you mentioned, what are issues? We get issues all of the time because we're selling expensive goods. Ultimately, the ideal sale for our customers would be a free Prada bag. Like, and, you know, unfortunately, we have to make a profit. Like, be reasonable here, but and then it's like, really, that's and people have got lots of little tricks how they get a discount. So I guess that's for us. Most people want what we've sold them. They want it for less. And they started at the beginning. You can always tell they start at the beginning. They go, it's a bit much. Let's get some money off. Let's get some money off. And we go really to the bare minimum a lot of the time. And then they'll say, oh yes, we'll buy it. And yes, it's all fine. And they get it and they go, oh, there's a huge defect in it. It's missing this, or it's got a hole here. And we think, that's interesting. Didn't have that when it went out. But anyway, you go, we're so sorry because, as you say, customers are always right. Say, we're really sorry. You know what? All you have to do is package it up. We're happy to pay for the refund because that's the easiest thing to do. Send it back, and we'll send it to someone else. No. We don't want it sent back. And it's hugely disappointing. We're hugely disappointed. We hear this all of the time. So really, the only best way to do it is to just give them lots of money back.
Not the best way to grow your margin, though.
It isn't, but luckily, it is a small proportion. Most customers.
Most
people buying on eBay, they're coming for genuine reasons, and they just want.
And they know they want the goods, and.
And they want to buy from you again. I think that's the biggest thing. You provide a really good service. They're just not going to want to upset you at the end of the day, because there is such a thing as a buyer blocked section where you just anyone that's too problematic or too many returns, just stick them in, drop them in there, and it comes up. We actually tested it recently, and it comes up. I love it. It comes up and says, you cannot receive you cannot communicate with this seller. Neither can they communicate with you. It's something along those lines. And I thought, yay, good on you, eBay.
Good way to protect yourselves if you are getting those really, really pesky customers. So I wouldn't say don't do it for the normal person that's kind of got on your wick, but someone that's a repeat offender, potentially, for something like that, is a really
they have to be quite bad.
Sorry, Hannah, you can say.
I was going to say, I think eBay's the only platform that does allow you to block. And that is a joy. It's like, I might have had to give you a refund, I might have had to do this, but I can put you on this list.
It gives a bit of power back to you, though, doesn't it? Which is quite nice in those situations.
Was that the school teacher you coming?
No, that was just me. That was just me channeling the last time I did customer service.
I can almost see it in your eyes there, that kind of moment that you had it.
When does the bar open?
Not long. And kind of, Yinka, what's the most kind of popular thing that you see from customer issues?
I get customers wanting to return items because, I put a lot of effort into showcasing all defects and stuff like that, and the defect will literally be on the listing, and I'll put it in the description, even in capital letters, and they'll say, oh, that wasn't, they'll act like it wasn't on the listing and stuff like that. So I feel like that's definitely an issue. And I'd say, as well as that, pricing as well. I get customers messaging me on an item that's like 60 quid, and they'll just be like £10 question mark without high or anything like that, and they want such a huge discount. So I'd say that's a couple of issues that I'll be dealing with with my customers.
And how do you approach that one where they're kind of like almost trying to haggle with you?
Honestly speaking, I feel like, I know this is so bad, but it's like, if they're just making a ridiculous offer, I honestly don't even reply, because I feel like usually people like that, they're not ready, they're just trying to try their luck, like, you know what I mean? And then even if you reply to them, and like from personal experience, if you reply to these kind of people and you say, oh no, I can only do it for 45, they're not gonna get back to you, because more time, someone like that is probably a kid that's using their parents' account and they want it for £10 because that's literally what they have and stuff like that. But if they come with a reasonable offer, then I'll obviously, try and negotiate back and forth. Obviously with eBay, they have the best offer where they can just submit an offer, but sometimes, because I cap a lot of my offers, because when you don't cap it, you just get a lot of stupid offers and stuff like that. So I cap it. So sometimes the person might message me and their offer is slightly below the cap. But if I've had the item for a while, then I'll just give it to them for that price.
Do you want to turn the stock? You want to be able to sell and move on and get some stock.
Exactly.
That makes sense. And how about you in automotive?
So a lot of our customers, because it's not just automotive, it's motorsport specifically, so a lot of our customers are repeat customers. So we don't tend to get many of them chancing anything, you know. There's a bit more trust between us and our customers, and they are quite often repeating back. So our issues are usually around the sizing of something. So we, in addition to the parts, we sell race wear, so race suits, and that's typically one which is very difficult to determine your size, because a suit's a one-piece item, so as you maybe need it to go up in the waist, it goes up in the length at the same time. So that's a difficult item to sell.
Could I jump on the offer thing?
Yeah, of course.
So obviously I get ridiculous offers as well. We have a stock response, which is to offer them, we have like a 5%, so be like, oh, you're chancing your luck there, but have a 5%, so we'd always offer them something, so you would get that off anyway. Usually whatever we'd be doing a seller-initiated offer for on that thing, and it just means that like, you've given them something, because like you say, if they feel like they, oh, I want to win, and it's like, well, have this win, which I'm comfortable with, and then it kind of like closes it off, because you're like, well, I've given you that.
I think it's the way the market is going, though. People expect, buyers are really savvy, and they really want that little bit extra. They like to think. So it's a compliment to you that you're just saying to them, yeah, okay, yeah, that's great. Here you go. There's just a little bit.
Yeah,
And
so
it's worth giving a little bit if you can, or as
Yeah.
much as you can. I mean,
That's
we
what
all
we do.
try, but
Yeah.
sometimes we can't.
It's you mentioned there about buyers being quite savvy now, and obviously people are able to
Absolutely,
price
yeah.
compare and look in the market. Like, kind of, have you seen any changes in buyer behaviour? Obviously, we've been living in unprecedented times now for probably about 5 years. So have you seen how buyers have changed, what's been going on in like the wider economic space, or how much more savvy people are getting? It'd be really good to get your perspective on that as a group. Ross, do you want to start with you?
Yeah, I mean, if we take it back to COVID, as we seem to always do, so the start of lockdown, for us it was big panic, because we thought, well, there's no motor racing going to be happening, so our customers don't have anything to, break and then come back and buy. But what we didn't predict was that buyers were stuck in their houses, but could also go out to the garage and have a little tinker with the car and say, oh, I could improve the car this way and that way in the setup.
Yeah.
So we found that area of our business really kick off. And then everyone had a bit more disposable income. So when everything opened back up, we found a good boom in sales, but now more recently, certainly, buyers are becoming more savvy, and that actually plays to our advantage, because the price that we do our products at is really in there at the lower end of the scale. So still good quality stuff, but it's in at the right price. So buyers would rather give up their TV subscription and stop racing, so they just have to find somewhere that's a bit more cost effective.
Interesting.
So,
And kind of your products hit that sweet spot.
yeah.
Amazing. Any other thoughts about changes in buyer behaviour and how it's kind of impacting your business?
I've always got something to say, obviously.
Excellent.
So I think buyers are much more wanting to buy from small businesses. So I think probably about 5 or 6 years ago, we were all sat there trying to look corporate and look like we're bigger, look like you're bigger than you are. And actually, like all our customer service stock replies, it will feel like you're talking to me. It sounds like me. I go, oh no, I don't know how I managed to make such a silly mistake if if there's a mispick or whatever. And, we're a British business. We've, have British made products. On the back of our products, we've got like a family picture. So that people really feel that connection to us as a business. And if you look on like our feedback and our reviews and stuff, people go, oh, it's great to support a small business, it's great to do that. And I think buyers really like that story and engaging with it.
Yeah,
So that's the difference for me.
Yeah, just to piggyback off that point, I think as far as marketing is concerned as well, this is something that is very prominent amongst like Generation Z and millennials. Like relatability is a huge thing. So like Hannah said, not trying to come across as a corporation and actually having essentially, I guess, a kind of like face of the business, but just provides that sense of relatability that I think is definitely something that is becoming more and more prominent.
Yeah. And how do you bring that to life, Yinka, in your store?
So I'm planning to start now doing TikToks and where I'm basically just showcasing like essentially my journey and that kind of stuff, so in hopes to grow our social media presence.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Really good way to go about it.
Yeah.
I have a, sorry everyone. So
let you know.
I have a, I know, sorry, just gag me. So I use ManyChat. I don't know if anyone knows ManyChat. It's a messenger bot. So if you buy from me, you get a free downloadable game, which is like a PDF, and it will match whichever range. So if you bought a Halloween game, I've got a downloadable in it. You go into this messenger bot, and it's like I'm talking to you on Messenger. I know that sounds horrendous, so it kind of like goes, oh yeah, hi, thanks a lot, and it's really positive, and people really enjoy it, and it's a way to kind of like outsource customer service to a software, which we all know my feelings on that. But that's a really nice way to make people feel like they're dealing with a person and actually be able to scale it.
Great, really great.
ManyChat.
Another top tip. Maybe I'd start a new section called Hannah's Top Tips or something.
It's not a short section.
It's not.
Well, yeah, we'll put it on video or something. Dan, how about you? Because you're obviously selling refurbished products.
Yeah, so as consumers are looking for more value with the cost of living crisis, they're moving more into refurbished. I remember last year I was at eBay Open, and Eve put a stat up saying 80% of Gen Zs have bought refurbished in the last 12 months. Tends to be tech, tends to be mobile phones. That's the gateway drug into refurbishment. But once you've gone through that and you realize there's a high quality product, just the packaging maybe slightly different, that then starts to see some value. And the second, it goes back to when I was talking to the customers in COVID, is there was a very, very small market, sector of our market, which was the green buyer. People who had pledged not to buy brand new products, who wanted to buy pre-loved, second-hand, refurbished, call it what you will. And that was the smallest of our markets by quite some distance, but it's growing. And I mean, there's some businesses here that are testimony to that. More and more people are moving to that kind of that model for green and mean reasons, depending on which way you see it. So the market is evolving into that.
Great. It's twofold, isn't it? You're doing a bit for planet and a bit for your pocket. It's good. Nikki, anything else to add from your side?
Not really.
No?
No. To be fair, I just zoned out. I was listening to everything. What's the question?
I forgot you're on the panel.
Any changes in buyer behaviour? But I think you said.
Well,
that
I just think buyers are more savvy. I don't think there's been a huge amount. We've noticed on all different platforms. We're on quite a few platforms, and they'll just come to different platforms where they think that'll be. I think obviously consumer behaviour is that you can check on your phone. Everyone wants it's price. People are price sensitive. We're selling branded goods, which there are lots of people out there selling branded goods. Ours are in very good condition. I guess there are a few things that you have to elevate your business as best you can. But yeah, people want the best value. But there are other people selling these things. You have to compete on price and service as well. People do like service.
Yeah.
People like returns and those sorts of things, which. In my industry, people have their own websites, and actually some people seem to think it's okay not to accept returns. Pretty sure it's a legal requirement, which I am. Maybe, yeah. So, but people do. They get around it by saying they're a platform. But anyway, yeah. So people don't want to do that, but it's good. It's good for consumer thing. We often find people who. One of my best customers, I had a huge argument with. First of all, was in the USA. And she was upset about something. It wasn't as I described it or whatever. And I said, it's fine, just return it, and whatever. And we spoke to her, and then, she became just very confident, and she just bought from us again and again. So quite often, when things seem to be like going horribly wrong, it's your best opportunity to say, yes, of course, we're happy to put this right for you. We want you to be happy. Because, one sale is not good enough for us. We need lots of sales.
Yeah.
So, the odd person, and it comes from, most buyers, it will come from anxiety. They worry about, they get really anxious that are they able to return it? Will they get their full money back? The number of people still ask me about whether they'll get their full money back, and I go, yes, of course, you get everything and more. It's safe, and it still surprises me how many people are new to buying online. It's just extraordinary. So the whole journey is really much. We're very much at the beginning of all of this. That surprises me as well.
Very
Sorry, I've digressed.
No, Dan, we got
It's a
something.
very good point. I mean, if you look at yourself as a consumer, some of the best customer service experiences come from the back of a negative experience to begin with.
Exactly.
Someone makes a mistake, we all do, and then they put it right in a way that you feel there's trust there. Yeah.
Yeah, if there's always a way to try and delight the customer, isn't there?
Yeah.
Particularly if it's been an error on kind of your side, and yes, the wrong item got picked, like you mentioned earlier, or the wrong delivery slot
Something
got
happens,
filled.
I'm really sorry, what can I do to put it right?
There's a good way
Here's
to
an
do it.
apology, here's an acceptance.
You should look at it as an opportunity.
It is an opportunity.
Quite often, it's never as bad as you think it's going to be.
No, as you
know,
said,
can
it's just a pair of shoes, but
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
People trusted.
So Nikki just covered there something about returns and kind of the expectation of free returns. I want to do a quick fire yes, no down the line.
It's not going to happen, is it?
But I'm going to try. I'm going to be ambitious this afternoon. Do you offer free returns?
No.
Do you offer free returns?
Yes.
Not free returns, no.
Not free returns?
I mean, if it's not my fault, then yes. But if it's
Yes.
their fault, then no.
Okay, great.
Yeah, same answer.
Same as.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's-
interesting.
yeah.
So I think we've got our nose,
You have
firm
to-
nose here. Kind of what's the reason for that?
It's expensive.
Okay.
And I sell low value products anyway, so
Yeah.
there's literally no much. And I also, I would worry about abuse. I
Okay.
think.
People just buying and returning kind of.
Yeah, so like, using it on a night out, which I'm sure the clothes sellers would probably be
They
able
will
to.
do that anyway, though, if
Do
that's
they?
in their
Yeah.
mind. Yeah, they will do that anyway.
Yeah, well, my stuff's so cheap, they might, because they'd actually have to pay the stuff back. So, I don't know, yeah, so for me, if somebody is unhappy with something, so obviously I have occasion stuff, so like people's weddings are cancelled and stuff like that, and that's horrible, and I've had like people who are jilted at the altar, and I get these like long things, really awful things, and they're like, can I have a return? I'm like, just have it. Donate it to a charity shop, do you know,
Yeah.
don't worry, here's your refund.
Yeah, because
you know?
the price of your items
So,
is easier than trying to organise a return back.
So, yeah.
Okay, interesting. Dan?
So yeah, you asked for a quick answer. There isn't one to this.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. The first bit was quick fire.
Yeah. I mean, so when an item isn't as described or we're in some way in fault, we do a free return. But what that leads to, and it's going to shock everyone in the room, is some buyers lie. You know, it happens. People will tell you the wrong items. I took a call from somebody who had an item delivered, flat, neighbour signed for it, wasn't delivered because it wouldn't fit in the door upstairs.
Yeah.
And yet they changed their mind and said it was the wrong colour. But it wasn't. It's, a
more of a delivery
a version came in differently. I mean, returns are interesting because I hate them, but my business is built on them, so I kind of have to, that's dichotomy that I
There
have
needs to be a certain amount of returns in the market for ClearCycle to exist.
Exactly, so I like their returns and hate my own. But it's a fact of life, it's the cost of doing business.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Great.
you need to look at them, understand them, minimise them, and learn. Always look at it from the customer's point of view and say, have they acted reasonably? If they have, what can we do to in any way legislate against that going forward?
Yeah.
You can't always do that for subjective reasons, but we've all bought things and sent them back.
Yeah, we have. We're all probably all guilty of it.
And sometimes it's a remorse. Sometimes it's a partner will come back and say, we can't afford that. That's going back, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. And what about Ross and Yinka? You said that sometimes if it's your area, you'll do a return, and if it's a change of mind, you won't. Is that the situation, or?
So for me personally, if it's a thing of, I've made a mistake or, if it's a mistake on my part, then obviously they'll get a free return. But if it's just something like they haven't read the measurements or, they've changed their mind or something along those lines, then they'll have to pay for postage simply because of the fact that it is a small business. And essentially what I'm trying to achieve by doing that is filtering out unserious buyers. And I feel like a lot of people, as far as human psychology is concerned, like human beings don't value things when it's free. So a lot of customers will think that, it's like a pretty little thing that they can just buy it and then try it on.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't fit, they'll send it back. But it's like, no, this is a small business run by one person. So don't purchase unless you're serious about actually purchasing.
Yeah.
And if it does come to a point where, you buy it and then it's not how you imagined it, or, you just change your mind, then, you're more than welcome to return it. But obviously that will come at a cost that's on the buyer.
Really interesting.
Dare I say, it's not actually sustainable to return things. I often think this. People don't really make that much of it. I suppose doesn't really feed into our narrative, but it isn't sustainable.
In terms of the environment? Or
for returning things. Like it's not something to be encouraged.
No,
that's what I think.
It's a waste of packaging, waste of petrol.
Exactly.
Well, as a buyer, you want to buy a product and get it right, don't you, I suppose, normally. But they're kind of, like maybe what you were saying about certain retailers out there, it's kind of the encouraged behaviour, doing it cool.
But that's part of it. I mean, it is a cost, and we have tight margins, and we've looked at free postage. I know a lot of people in our industry actually, the luxury market, people do charge for postage because we have to get insurance. There are many reasons. So to offer free returns, it's just another cost which would add burden to our business. So we can't really afford it. I think
exactly.
And as I said, from a sustainable, we all say that we talk about sustainability, and I'm sorry about this for your business, but they found a solution.
These ones are being saved from landfill, so that's
They're being
good.
saved,
Yeah, we're the goodies.
absolutely. So you are the goodies, yeah, you're the white knights, yeah, absolutely. It's not sustainable, it's not right. We shouldn't be encouraging, in the same way that we all accept the plastic bag thing. I think there could be some sort of talking about, please don't return things as much.
Yeah.
We tend to try and work things out with people, because quite often it's to do with cost, whether people can't afford it. We try and, even if it's not in our interest to get a return, so we try and work with the buyer, and it does work a lot of the time, and we actually have very low returns. It's something like, I don't know, it's like 1%.
That's very
right.
healthy.
It's
That's
very, very low, to be fair.
Something to be proud of there, almost, I think.
From an economic, just all economics.
Yeah, of
really,
course.
It's just,
You're motivated by something, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, good customer service, economics, it's all good. And how about you, Ross?
Yeah, pretty similar. If it's an issue, for sure we would cover the return cost.
Yeah.
If it's a buyer issue, we would, if they really have to send it back, really want to, there's no other solution for them, then we would probably assist them in doing that. Provide mail labels and things like that, but it depends on the situation. So it's not something that we offer just as a blanket free return. Then
Yeah.
we do free shipping on the way out, and we work from tight margins as well. So the same as Nikki, we don't have a lot of returns because just the industry we're in and the type of products that we do, there isn't a huge amount of it for us. So.
Brilliant, thank you. So we're almost running out of time, so I'm going to come to our last couple of questions. So anyone that was here earlier will have heard that I did a bit of a top tips session. So I thought it'd be good just to hear your top tips of how to deal with any customer issues. So let's start with Hannah, just because you're next to me. I think you're ready to go.
Yes. So I think the pre-written replies avoids writing what you actually think rather than what you should write. I think it can, like some people, and you're just like, and then you think, no, we paste that one in and we adjust this, this, and this. So I would think that. But my top tip for that would be ChatGPT.
Yes.
Nice.
And really, you can just paste what they've said in. And there's actually, I saw a really great, one of my, a seller group I'm in, one of my friends in it. Basically, if you pay for the subscription, you can put in information about your business, and ChatGPT can draw from that information you've inputted. So literally, you could just paste the question in, paste it out, and it could be done very quickly and with less emotional involvement.
Keep the stress at bay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Daniel?
Analyse the data. There are reasons why things come back.
Yeah.
If you can look at the data, is it a packaging issue, carrier issue, product issue, description issue, and if you just literally just go through and say, where are we, measure it and manage it, you will never remove it, but you can start to reduce certain sectors. Some of our retailers, they sell a product and they have 20% returns on one product and 5% on another. There's a reason.
Interesting. Nikki?
Top tip.
Top tip, come on, I know you've got one in there.
Top tip. I don't know. I have top tip for dealing with. I mean, you just listen. You do what eBay does. You just find out what the problem is. Obviously, if somebody's an after-sales issue needs to be addressed, you don't leave any of those. You just get in. You reply to them very quickly. Find out what their problem is and do your best to resolve it. That's all you can do at the end of the day.
Yeah, very similar to what everyone else has said.
Yeah.
Just responding in a way that is empathetic, even if you're not sorry, like say sorry.
Yeah.
Even if you're not smiling, put smiley faces, like just stuff like that goes a long way. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, soften it, warm it a bit.
Yeah, Windows key and full stop. That's emojis on a PC, isn't it?
Nice.
Don't
great.
use caps because
Yeah,
you're
but
shouting.
like you
don't
talk
shout.
about
Don't shout.
Don't use caps. Never use caps. It's shouting.
And how about you, Ross?
I would say another thing just to add on to that would be what we're always really focused on is dispatching out the same day and going by an express delivery method, whether that be like Royal Mail 24 or a courier service. If we're sending goods out quicker and there is an issue, the buyer's usually less panicked about the situation because they've been able to identify the issue quickly. For our customers, usually they need things quickly for racing the next weekend. So if we do our job getting it out and it's quick, it might be wrong, but it got there fast. But then we can resolve it quickly, and that sort of minimises issues from there.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. So that actually brings this seller panel to a close. Thank you so much to our panelists for all of your excellent feedback over the day, and I think in the networking sessions as well. I think you've been peppered with questions. Thanks everyone for listening, and hopefully you've taken away some tips there about how to handle issues on your listings, how you can use tools to increase your kind of improvements in customer service. And yeah, look forward to seeing you try some of those out. Thanks so much.